Hi kids, I'm Wally.
And I'm Wendy.
And we're here to tell you about the wonderful world of water.
Wally, that's not what we're calling the video.
What? I like that name.
No, we're supposed to call it Roland Water District Presents Where Does Your Water Come From?
Fine, you're right. You always are. So let us both introduce.
Roland Water District presents
Where Does Your Water Come From? We start our journey high in the Sierra Nevada mountains, where snowmelt flows into the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta.
From there, it travels 444 miles through the State Water Project to the water treatment facility at Three Valleys in Claremont, California. That's where it's mixed with a small amount of groundwater. Our friend Dominic Aguilar shows us what happens next to make sure it's ready to drink.
In describing the stages of a conventional treatment process, there's roughly about 5 stages: coagulation, flocculation, sedimentation, filtration, and disinfection. Our goal is basically to disinfect that water and make sure that any pathogens or any viruses that exist in that water are neutralized or removed altogether. This is what we call the coagulation process. The coagulation process, our goal for that is to basically merge the chemical with the water molecule. The flocculation process begins at the beginning of this serpentine system here towards the top. So when this plant was designed, they designed it so that the quick moving water would be a shallower basin up towards the top, and then it starts to get deeper as we go towards the end so that it slows the flow of water. And that way we help minimize the amount of energy required to be able to do all this mixing.
This has been a pretty wild ride so far. Glad we get a little time to relax.
Let's find out what's next for us.
And now we've moved on to the 3rd stage, which is the sedimentation process. The goal for that is to allow the flock to settle out prior to the water reaching those catch troughs. The clean water is being caught into that trough and then redirected over to our filters, which is the next process. Once it's here, it starts to percolate through the filter in the same way that water, when it rains or during a storm, percolates through the strata of the earth. It's doing the same thing here in this filter. We also have to monitor and maintain and measure the amount of disinfection that we use. Your water is disinfected to prevent any of those bacteria or disease-causing organisms to make its way into your system.
Wow, that guy is really smart.
Yes, he is. And he also has a glorious mustache.
This seems like a really complicated process. I wonder how they keep track of everything.
You won't believe this, but they use spaghetti.
Really? I love a big plate of spaghetti.
Not quite a plate of spaghetti. I'll let Dominic explain.
What you see behind me here is what I like to call the spaghetti wall. The purpose for the spaghetti wall is basically to control the direction of flow of all the chemicals that we have on site to the different locations throughout the site. Our purpose for color coding it is to make life easier to understand.
That makes a lot of sense, but I still have one question. What happens to all the stuff you take out of the water when it's treated?
Yeah, Dominic, where does all that flock end up?
We talked a little bit about the flocculation process, sedimentation, and the filtration process. We also discussed the disinfection process, and now, as you can imagine, behind me what you see are what we call the sludge ponds. At each one of those stages, there are different materials or sludge that have to be removed and relocated, and that gets relocated to these points here. We push the sludge over to the belt filter press and so that we can dewater the sludge, recycle that water, and then take the solids and haul it off site.
This is a crazy complicated process getting us all cleaned up.
Yep, it takes miles of pipes and hundreds of valves and pumps to move the water around.
How do they keep track of it all?
They have an amazing computer, a supercomputer in fact, known as the SCADA system.
Skating system? No thanks. I don't like ice skating because it means I'd need to be frozen.
Not skating, SCADA. Maybe Dominic should explain.
SCADA is an acronym for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. And it's basically the mind or the brain of the whole facility. We have so many different valves, analyzers that have various functions. Some monitoring temperature, different aspects of the disinfection process, how much water is flowing, what kind of pressures are documented. It's all coming to this one central location.
Wow, I had no clue that delivering clean, delicious water was so complicated.
We're very lucky to have Roland Water District to make sure we're clean and ready for people to drink.
Or shower, or wash the car, or water your lawn, or...
Okay, Wally, they get it. There's a lot of uses for us.
Hey, Wendy, this was fun. How can I learn more about water?
It's easy. Visit RolandWater.com.
Sounds cool, just like me.
If you say so, Wally.